All right. So that kind of brings me to a topic I wrote up just off the top of my head. Maybe there's an actual answer, but when would you consider a console retro?
Oh, Jesus Christ.
Is this a...
This is a hot button topic.
Is it? So the only reason I thought about it is everyone talks about the retro love for any... When I think retro now, I think NES, probably Super NES. I don't necessarily, in my mind, always go PS1 or whatever. But I'm like, okay, that console is 20-some years old. And is the Atari, like, ancient if all these other ones are retro? So then, shit, going back to just PS2, that's old. Like, what should be, in your eyes, not in the community's eyes? And
Right.
you can tell me what you think.
Oh, there's no set thing in the gaming community.
But I'm also, because you're more in touch with them because you look more on Twitter. So first tell me, from what you've seen, and I'm sure it's all over the place, but what do you generally see as people think is considered retro?
I see it run the gamut where people, like some people will say at this point, go back a console generation. That's retro because what's current is current. What's before that is
So
retro.
like 360 would be
Right.
retro. Okay.
There's people who will say that. There's people who will say that the PS1 isn't retro yet. I disagree. I can't stop burping. I disagree there. Like, for me, really, it comes down to personal preference, whatever you think's retro.
Mm-hmm.
Like, there's so much dick waving and little, like, on the internet about, like, someone will make a post about, like, oh, look at my, retro PlayStation 2. And someone will be like, well, fucking retro,
That's not
PlayStation 2 isn't retro. And then, like, they'll just be, racial slurs and shit like that after that.
Of course.
So it'll just be back and forth. Like, personally, for me, I think the cutoff for retro is the Dreamcast. Like, I consider the Dreamcast retro, but, like, the PS2, I still don't. But it's also probably because, like, I was in my mid to late teens when the PS2 came out. So that was, like, the high time for... Now, technically, I would say the PS2, GameCube, that generation.
Yeah.
I'd still say that's retro. I couldn't go personally 360 yet, but that's just because I'm old, too. The 360 came out in 2005. That's almost 15 years ago now.
So, psychologically, I think the reason people would have such an issue with retro when you say that is like they don't want to feel. No one wants to feel old,
Right?
Like, you don't want to be like, oh shit, yeah, I was playing PS2 in high school, and you don't want to say that because you don't want to feel that old. Honestly, I'm gonna use a very weird.
Or it's also a thing where like you don't want to feel like your favorite kind of era of gaming's irrelevant or shit like that.
Yes. Time passes all by, and it sucks, but that's what happens. I'm going to use a very weird metric that I know a lot of people hate. But to me, if major video game stores, such as GameStop, if they're not selling your games anymore, because some of them still sell 360, anything past that is retro.
Yeah, I mean, there's...
Now, I know they have their retro section.
Well, yeah, online they do. Yeah.
Well, they have them in stores. But that's where
not anymore.
Well, the one I just went to 2 weeks ago. Still
Does it? Which one?
The one at
What, by the Giant?
yeah,
That has one?
the one on the street. Yeah.
I'll have to check that out.
So
because there's the one up... No one's going to care about this right now.
no,
Move on.
but yeah. So my thing is like that, and if any major stores, if you're not carrying it in store, then it's probably retro. Maybe that's a weird metric to use.
It's actually not a bad one, though.
It doesn't hurt. To me, when I think PS2, in my mind, I do struggle to say that's retro, but I can understand it. I think at a minimum...
And the PS2 is a special case because it was officially supported until 2013.
And the longevity of that is so...
Like, the GameCube died in, 06? But,
Yeah.
the PS2 went way longer.
So, I'd say at a minimum, anything before PS2 era. So, I'll even leave Xbox and GameCube in there with it.
Okay.
Is easily retro.
Right.
Anything after, I think that PS2, Xbox, GameCube, you could debate it.
Yeah, like the beginning of this console generation, I was like, Dreamcast is the cutoff. But now I'm like, well, it might be time to move that up a little bit just because of 6 years later now.
So, this was just another drinking one night, random thought coming to my head.
This is a good drunk argument.
Yeah, I want to hear you guys talk, because, Jim and I seem to be pretty much on the same page. I want to hear someone really fight and say, no, retro is yada yada. Because, honestly, the way I look at it,
this will be one of those podcast clips that we put up there, and we get way more replies and views.
yes. So it's like one of those weird things where inherently when I hear the word retro, I think NES, Super NES, Sega Genesis. But when I think like Atari, like I said, I would say that's like the ancient. Like, I don't even consider that retro anymore. It's like so old. So let us know what you think below. Defend it, fight it. Tell us what generation you think is the cutoff for era. Is it a year? Is it like 10 or 15 years it has to be gone? Whatever the case, let us know what you think.